cover I just did of the Buddy Rich Big Band Greensleeves, which was in 3/4, 6/8, 12/8 time. I kind of feel like 12/8. I think people have written that it's a 3/4 time, the chart. But be that as it may, I'll leave that to the professors. I wanted to cover today how you might go about, getting a recipe book for yourself to play what I would call like jazz rock or swinging soul. That song particularly comes on the Buddy and Soul album. There was also a Pacific Jazz recording of the greats of the Buddy Rich, West Side Story, Greensleeves, and the same recording is the one I used off that album. But the Buddy and Soul album has Greensleeves on it, and he does, as you note, play kind of a soulful swinging feel there, especially in the solo. He has some points which are like that. So I thought today we should go over some of those recipes. I call them recipes, as you know. Some of the ingredients that you could put together to do some of this, and we'll just break it out into 3 parts, okay? So part 1 is, and I have videos going back for a while that I could probably put the links to in the bottom of this one. We did, after West Side Story, we did 3/4 and 6/8 and 12/8 kind of fills and roughs and rolls. I also did a jazz 3/4 time thing. And so today we're just going to be putting things together. So it might seem, oh, I'm not getting all that, but I'm going to break it down slow. In jazz 3/4 time, what I had suggested was going nice and slow, a pattern, and then we'll go into the soul part of this, and then we put it all together. Okay? So in the jazz thing, the cymbal pattern was 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. And so we have again, a permutation, just a moving through the bar. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. And then you would mix and match those. By the music. But that's like a 4-bar running thing that resolves itself, okay? And then you go back around, but you naturally mix and match them. And you could add a few, obviously, cymbal beats instead of just, you could have but for basics, the pattern I just laid out was in that video. It's here again. That we'll start there. So that's your cymbal pattern on the jazz swinging side of soul. Because soul music is a lot of times we think of as it's not always. You could have your bouncy soul. Okay, so here's the swinging side of the cymbal. Okay, then again, snare drum, just moving it throughout the measure. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and of course, what's next? The and, 1, 2, 3. And what's next? Switch back and forth. Swing thing going. I'm putting the hi-hat on too. In a lot of the classic jazz tunes, you're going to hear it that way. You're going to hear also 1, 2, 3, really simple and clear here because this is a way of getting your basic element of a recipe, right? You know, you want to know, okay, add so much black pepper, not several variations of black pepper, so it's on 2. But when you get into the soul beats and stuff like that, it may be a little bit different than in the standard classical 50s, 60s, you know, jazz. All right, so now we got some ideas with the swinging, you know, ride cymbal pattern and the snare drum. We're putting the bass drum on 1, hi-hat on 2. Sometimes we move the bass drum around. Now what about the soul thing? Well, you kind of can do some of the same things. Start with your basic rock beats, you know, like 1, 1. So you did that, practice those nice and slow. I'm suggesting a tempo of about anywhere from 90 to 110. You start getting, you know, a flow. You can practice it slower, obviously, at first. Say you want to nail down that 2 on the hi-hat with some of these things, and by all means. But when you're trying to get a little bit of a flow and get the ear training, it's going to wind up in that zone. Now, of course, when you play a really slow waltz or something like that, it does help to play it super slow as a practice thing also. All right, so now you have this kind of jazz feel, and then you have your what we call rock or funk or basic soul beats. You know, you're starting in in the 60s, Buddy Rich liked to, and he often talked about changing with the times, trying to keep up with the times. Yeah, he had his fundamental way of playing, as all drummers and musicians do, and they grow up in a certain era and, you know, they just have an orientation, right? But he was trying to get charts and feel and think the way things were changing. And that particular Greensleeves recording is happening in the late 60s, 68, 69. And so the whole album is entitled Buddy and Soul. He does Soul Kitchen, the Doors song. He does some other things, you know, like that. So here he's blending this jazz and rock. We even used to call it, before the fusion term became official, it was like jazz rock, rock and jazz, swinging soul. And that's what's going on there. And that's the beginnings of fusion anyway. So here's what he does. He puts it kind of together. And it's not only him. It's just this is what was going on. It was the zeitgeist, the sign of the times. Okay? It's the jazz thing blended with this soul thing. So this is the recipe book. In 3/4 or 6/8, if you get a song that feels like that's rotate, or 12/8. Okay? So some of the other things that we use, the other ingredients, just to spice it up. You know, we have our... You go back and watch some of the other videos, rough rolls and drags, fills, setups. I have a slew of videos out there, you know, that you can go back on the channel and scan for those. I'll try to put some links in there. But in this one, just if you wanted to make this a self-contained sort of segment, you're working on your basic jazz 3/4 time, and then your basic rock. As I say, in this thing you can, when you're practicing the jazz part in particular, you can work on 2 on the hi-hat, 2 and 3. You'll hear a lot of old jazz tunes where they're playing 2, and then certain parts of the song it's 2/3, and then it's 1-2-3. For the soul part, you know, you can try practicing with the 2, but then move it around as it's needed. But you're blending elements of jazz and soul, and it's kind of like a swinging soul. And so forth. The last thing is, yeah, you then start to learn how to do your fills, your setups, your transitions. But first and foremost is feeling comfortable circulating around 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you have it, short and sweet. It takes practice, nice and slow, then medium, then pick it up. Ear training, placement. One of the other things I did there was, naturally when we do jazz comping, the same thing applies here. You can take different forms of study that you've done comping, Jim Chapin, some of the videos also we put out on, that I put out on moving things around and comping and different formulas and recipes for that. So you can go back and check that out. I have one, Open New Doors, and it followed the Coltrane, the cover that I did, and we were Giant Step, and I was showing all the different ways to comp throughout something like that. Well, that was in 4/4, but and up there. But you can certainly take some of the concepts from that video and do it in 3/4 time, 6/8, 12/8. Okay, but to stick with the basics, stay with what we described in the beginning of this video. So the 3 steps: get your jazz stuff down, then get some basic rock down, learn to swing or bounce those rock beats into a swinging soul feel, might call it a shuffly feel, and then stay in that time frame, and you're all set to now build where you want to go. For your new subscribers, welcome. For people that have been watching, thanks for watching. Check out some of those videos. I will put a link below this into 2 or 3 of them, below this one, a YouTube link, so you can easily find them. And again, we're going to try to create the beat we keep with these ingredients and these recipes. Thanks for watching. Peace out.